for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. This is week 15 and episode 15. And this week
Yay.
we are going to talk about Emmett Till. So the kidnapping, murder, and controversial everything going on about Emmett Till, which happened in 1955. Um, but on this show, I'm Brandy and that is Jackie. And
Hello.
on the show, we talk about true crime, current events, and other things we find on Al Gore's internet. We are not law enforcement professionals. We just give our opinions. We study the facts and we give those in the middle of the opinion. If there's something we miss or something we've got wrong, please drop that into the comments and we'll answer and respond accordingly. As always, be respectful. Um, any church announcements this week? Anybody on the sick and shut in list? Anybody on prayer list or anything like that this week?
My kids need to go on the prayer list so I don't kill them.
We gonna add them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you were talking about when you said anybody with daughters. How y'all doing?
Yeah, because I'm about to say them too to something else.
You'll survive. You'll survive. She might not, but you know. I'm yet hoping. All right. So we don't have any church announcements this week. Nobody on sick and shut in list, but we do want to extend some prayer to Jackie's kids. It's gonna be a rough one. In 2020, this pandemic is not making it any better. It's just horrible for everybody right now. Like it's just crazy. So no church announcements. Of course, you always obey your ushers, mind your ushers, put something in the offering plate, and in the words of Miss McDowell, we like the kind of jingles, but we'd rather have the kind. Amen. Amen. All right, those are the church announcements as follows. Cover yourselves accordingly. All right, so two things I want to talk about on Al Gore's internet. One of them is a very serious issue. I saw this on a website called Illicit Deeds. It's actually on Facebook, and it's talking about a 10-year-old named Bressia Terrell who was missing from Davenport, Iowa for the last 3 months. Now, this was July 10th. She went to spend the night with her father and her half-brother. Now, this is crazy. I just want to address this. Most people in the Black community, we don't say half-sister, half-brother. If we share a parent, that's brother or sister. So that always throws me off. But apparently they just shared their father. So they have their father in common. So her father's name was Henry Earl Dinkins, 47. He was a registered sex offender. He had gone to prison several years earlier for a crime involving a child under 13. So she goes to visit her father on July 10th. But they don't issue an Amber Alert for like 6 days.
Interesting.
So
that's a lot of time.
Yeah, where did she go? She's supposed to be with her father. And she's gone. And she's gone. And there's no Amber Alert. So, yeah, for 6 days, they don't start searching for her in Clinton County. The police don't start searching for her for 6 days. On the 20th, now they started on the 16th with the search. On the 20th, the search was called off, but we're not sure why the search was called off. And let's see here. So they ended the search. She's still missing. There is a $10,000 reward for information leading to Bressia's return. And there is an additional reward of $3,500 offered by the Quad Cities Crime Stoppers. Her mother believes that she's still alive.
Because she's hopeful.
She's hopeful. And in the comments, someone asked, did the mom know that at the time of the disappearance, if the father was a sex offender? And the illicit deeds said yes, that she did know. She was aware. So they're saying that there was a 2007 maroon Chevy Impala and a black 2012 Camaro and a motorhome that are associated with Dinkins, the father. Right now, he's just a person of interest, but not necessarily a suspect. But he was the last person, the last adult um, that she was in contact with. So it's crazy that um, no one knows where she was. And she's 10 years old, and her dad doesn't know where she is. Her brother doesn't know where she is. So that is in Davenport, Iowa. So if anybody lives near the area, be watchful. Brescia is 10 years old. She is 4 feet 5 inches tall, weighs about 75 pounds, has brown eyes and black hair. Last seen wearing a white t-shirt, shorts, and sandals when she went missing.
Okay. I had technical difficulties for a moment, but have they already ruled the dad out as a suspect? Do you
Pretty
know?
much, according to this article, um,
Okay.
they're just kind of looking at him, not
Okay.
sure if but it says that she went missing. Oh, missing near the apartment. Um,
Okay.
his sex offense was in 1990. He pled guilty to third-degree sexual abuse involving a girl 13 or younger. So the question that someone asked in the comments was, did the mom know at the time of the that Brescia went missing if the father was a sex offender? The real
Right.
question is, did she know that he was a sex offender at the time when they were dating?
Right. That's the real question. Did she already know this?
Right.
It's possible she didn't. I mean, of course, back then people weren't big on kind of Googling who you are and researching who you are. You just kind of dated. So it is possible she didn't know,
Well,
but
Brescia's 10 years old. So even 10 years
like,
ago,
like
I just
every,
don't know if he would been on a sex offenders list at this point.
I know like when my daughter was like 2 or 3, this was over 10 years ago. When I tell you it was a big deal when a sex offender came into your neighborhood,
Yeah.
you got the sign, you get calls, you get everything. They want everyone to know all the way up until the moment they move in. So it is still kind of weird she didn't know, but
Yeah. So let's go ahead and pray for Brescia. That is in Davenport, Iowa. Just a story that I came across this morning. Now, the biggest thing I want to talk about on Al Gore's internet is we have been able to call Donald J. Trump. Is it a J or T H, whatever the fuck? Um, a lot of things, right? Over the last 3.5 years, a lot of things. I didn't know that we'd be able to call him a medical miracle. Okay.
yeah,
First of all, he starts off as Typhoid Mary, and he is passing out COVID-19 like the big Snickers on Halloween. You hear me?
mm-hmm.
Everybody gets candy. Everybody gets COVID. So apparently there was a shindig at the White House in the Rose Garden when he nominated a new justice to the Supreme Court. Um, they had a reception for her. Now, mind you, that was it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg had not been dead for a week when they had
Right.
this reception, so it was a very poor taste in the first place for them to do that. For him
Yeah.
to even appoint someone that soon and then to have a reception, and I think she was still lying in state in the Capitol at the Supreme Court at this point. So it was really, really
Mm-hmm.
strange that he
Mess.
did that. And then, so I don't know who that was. Sorry. So then all these people there, Bill Barr, Rudy Giuliani, I think Chris Christie was there, of course, the press secretary, the little blonde chick, Stephen Miller,
Mhm.
basically everyone who's now saying that they have COVID-19 was in
Yes.
contact with the president and they got it.
Yes, they did.
So he and Melania a week ago or so, announced that they have COVID-19. He goes
Mhm.
to Walter Reed Hospital. We don't know where Melania is. We ain't seen Melania.
No, she just kind of fell.
And
I don't know which
where's the baby? Where's the boy? Where's the boy? What they do with the boy?
boarding school, bro.
I mean, but in the middle of
But he
COVID-19,
still ain't seen nobody though. I haven't seen anybody.
nobody. So he goes to Walter Reed Hospital. The doctor is lying about his symptoms, not saying that he's on a
Yeah.
ventilator. Like, okay, man, you took the Hippocratic oath to tell the truth and to do your job, and you were lying. Wild face lying in everybody's face about his condition and his prognosis. So to add to this, the idiot in chief, and I know somebody gonna get mad, but he's an idiot. Let's just call
He
it.
is a complete idiot.
He gets into a car 3 days after announcing that he has COVID. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Um, 3 days after he has COVID, and goes on a parade to wave at his fans.
Oh Jesus.
What in
Jesus.
was that? Like, you have a highly contagious, spreadable disease at this point, and you get in a hermetically sealed car or the SUV with your Secret Service. So basically, what that means is you have basically put this virus into a vacuum.
Yes.
So everyone is immediately exposed. It's like to use a cooking term, it's like you put it into a sous vide bag and just sealed it up and just, okay, we're gonna cook this.
All that air out of it.
Mm-hmm. So you can wave at your fans. And then what was it, yesterday or the day before? He goes back, he's like, I'm leaving Walter Reed, I'm going to the White House. He takes his mask off.
Yes.
At the people. And the mother can't breathe.
Nope.
He up there taking six.
Yeah. Can't breathe, tired, out of breath, because that's a symptom. And I'm like, at your age, like the reality, at your age, sir, you need to be taking this a lot more serious than what you are.
I mean, it's already to the point. I mean, we've already in the Bob was it the Bob Woodward? Not Woodward. One of the dudes who, and I'm so remiss in not knowing who this man is, but one of the guys who broke the Watergate story, he wrote another book, and Trump went on record talking about how he knew about the virus and that he was trying to downplay it. But you're doing it again. So you get it, and then in 3 days you're like, oh, maybe it's just not gonna attach to me. Man, you about to die. So you can. This is clear narcissism. It's, I mean, to the point where it's painful.
It's dumb. God, he's so dumb.
And people are still buying this myth of that he's some sort of Superman, and he's he's gonna survive this, and it's it's amazingly dumb. It's past irresponsible. It's past all the things that we can say, any superlatives that we can come with. It's just damn dumb.
I'm dumb.
Yeah.
He's such an idiot. I'm like, when I saw him take that mask off, first of all, I was like, really?
And he's up there, and you can tell he's raining.
Yes, I'm going up them stairs.
Like he got a corset on, trying to get that good.
Gonna pass out.
Yeah, he's gonna pass out. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing what the lengths that this dude is willing to go to uphold a certain image when your country is failing, your health is failing, the economy is failing, people aren't able to go back to work, can't pay rent. None. Right. And you are worried about we already know this is a deadly disease. Just admit it, and you're wrong.
Just bite your words and say, yes, this is a serious situation. Coronavirus is very serious. It is life-threatening. Just go ahead and say it. Quit trying to make it, he's trying to downplay on it like it's not that big of a deal, And people that have passed away had underlying issues. Underlying issues, baby. It was some 15-year-old, 16-year-old athletes.
Okay, kids. So he is over 70 years old.
Yes.
Obese. He eats McDonald's. He doesn't eat vegetables.
Right. Like a toddler.
he looks like a can of biscuits, and you gonna tell me you ain't got no underlying issue? Come on, come on, man. Yeah,
Oh,
come
geez.
on. Like a whole can of biscuits is sitting in the microwave right now. Just when you hit the can and you hit it on the thing on the counter.
And they go poof.
Yeah, he'll get in trouble talking about these people's president.
Uh,
'Cause he
so,
damn he don't belong to me. I ain't claiming.
right.
So let's see what else has happened this week. I think
Mhm.
Tito has pretty much dominated um, the headline. Uh, his comments during the debate about the Proud Boys and stand by or whatever have really just gone to the wayside because of this his coronavirus diagnosis. But maybe that was on purpose because people were predicting that back in September that he was going to do
Yeah,
this. So
they
it's
were.
very interesting that that came true. Well, we'll see. I
Yeah.
let's say this since we have church announcements and we had the sick and shut in list, the prayer list. We have so many people now that are like, pray for the president because that's what God wants you to do. Um, God ain't doing nothing. I ain't walked by. I ain't none of my bushes been set on fire. I ain't seen a ram. I ain't I ain't whirlwind. I ain't been asked to sacrifice no goats. Nothing. Listen, let me tell
Facts.
you something. But this man who has granted zero grace to anybody,
Right.
all of a sudden wants us to do the same for him. He wants that grace.
You, you know what I find
I'm
funny?
not that good Christian. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just be honest.
I was just going to say, that I'm all for church. I'm a Christian. I'm for God. That's who I am. But he blatantly said on national TV that he was not going to go against white supremacists. He made that very clear that he's not going to do that. So that's enough to let me know already what type of person you are, which I already knew anyway. But he just people who still like, but no, it's God people. We have to. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say, I hope you die. I'm not going to say that. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, let me go pray for him to do that.
Now I'm not gonna wish death on you because that's wasted because everybody gonna die. But
Right.
I do wish jail time, erectile dysfunction, that his hair
He
plugs
already
don't
got
stick. Yeah, his hair plugs no longer stick. Um, yeah, and he has bad breath forever. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna pray for the president. Listen. There is a reason why there's supposed to be a separation between church and state.
Mhm.
Okay, that is a political figure. Listen, as far as I know, it said give Caesar what is due unto Caesar, and they was talking about my money. They take that already. They ain't nothing about my thoughts and prayers. Now I ain't got to give Caesar that. I don't owe him that. He live how he want to live. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that, and
None of us owe.
I'm just not there yet.
I don't. None of us owe him anything. Nothing. Sorry.
I'm not there yet. He yet working on me, so I'm
Get work.
he's yet working. Yet working on
Yeah.
me. So I hope that doesn't what I just did doesn't show up on the video. If it do, hey, I was doing some maintenance. All right, so enough about the Cheeto and Chief. I'm quite sure everybody's gonna know how his progress goes over the next weeks or whatever, and how his house of cards is really falling. Everyone in the White House is sick, from Kellyanne Conway to the press secretary. She's sick, and it's just a ball of shit. All right, so this week we have Jackie's decided to talk about a very famous murder case. And we're going to call it a murder case. That's exactly, it's a murder and kidnapping of a child. And I think that we have to always think of it as this,
That,
that this is the murder and kidnap and mutilation of a child. We cannot think of Emmett Till as just an icon of the civil rights movement in the era and a historical figure. We have to think that this was a woman's baby, a young
mm-hmm.
girl who went to visit family in Mississippi.
It's
And
only
yes, her only child, and
her
came
only
back
child
in a pine box. And so Jackie is going
gone.
to begin the
Mhm.
story of Emmett Lewis Till. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So so Emmett Till also goes by Bobo.
Mhm.
His family referred to him as Bobo. His mom, they were in Chicago, lived in Chicago. The mother is from Mississippi, but as time went on, she met someone who wanted to give her a better life, and she felt that was the best thing for her to do. So she moved to Chicago, took care of her baby, left Money, Mississippi alone. That's where it's called, down in it's in the Delta
Girl,
area.
what's the place
Took Emmett up.
on P Valley? Shoot, what's
The
P
name
Valley?
of
Is it down there by there?
Money, Mississippi.
Is money down there by the paint?
Yeah,
It's down there by the paint. Okay,
it's down by the Pike.
down by the paint.
So, one of her cousins comes to visit. Wait, let me make sure it's a cousin. One of her cousins comes to visit her. His name is Moose. Moose Wright lives in Money. He comes to Chicago to visit because he does some traveling for jobs he does, etc. Brings his two sons, and him and the mom are discussing, how much fun they had growing up. Because as children, we tend to not see the pain that we go through sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We just see the enjoyment of life. Sometimes if you have especially if your parents are raising you in a more pure atmosphere, they're going to try to avoid pain from you no matter what.
Right.
So Emmett decides that, okay, well, I want to go down there. This is summertime of 1955. So he's excited. He's like, I want to go. I want to join. I want to go have fun. So right, they get on a train. They were actually supposed to be going to, if I'm not mistaken, Ohio or Utah for another job. Mammy, which is Emmett Till's mother, she really didn't want him to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if maybe it was her mother intuition, but she didn't really want him to go. She was fine with him going to the other states, but she didn't want him going back to Money.
I can understand that because Mississippi historically is one of the most racist places in the country. It is still in 2020, still very
really bad
in that racist tradition. So in 1955, 65 years ago, I totally get why she would not have wanted. Now, 1955, not too far removed from the migration of the Negro migration to the north. People trying to get out of the Delta and get away from the South and sharecropping and things. So I can completely understand why she wouldn't want him to go. He wouldn't have known. He wouldn't have known how to handle that sort of environment.
And which you'll see in a minute. So he still begs her. She says, okay, finally gives in, lets him go to Money. So he gets the money. Mississippi, he's hanging out with his friends, cousin. They have a great day. He's down there a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's down there, they making cotton. They still make that as a living, making money. So while their family is picking cotton, they're also picking cotton so that they can make a couple of little change here and there to go get them some candy.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma picked peas in East Texas all the way up till I was 12. After that, and that's how she made her money. That's how poor and how very rural that her area is in Alto, Texas, that she picked peas up to I was 12. So I can definitely see this still going on.
Right.
For sure. So they get their little money they made from the little bit they did, and they go to a corner store that actually is known for, you know, African American people coming in there because they're used to the area, they're comfortable with them coming in there and buying things from them. They don't really have a big deal, which is owned by Roy and I don't want to forget her name.
Caroline.
Roy, Carolyn. I almost forgot. Roy and Carolyn Bryant. They own this little store. So they go in there at first. When they go in, the boys grab candy. Now, this is the rocky part because nobody really knows what was said in there. Nobody really knows what happened.
Right.
There are so many different stories. Some of them, according to Carolyn, what she told her husband was that Emmett immediately grabbed her hand and tried to make her pretty much talk to him. He had his hand on her waist, telling her, "Don't be scared." He talked to white girls in Chicago. Now he's 14 years old. He is known for being a comedian, kind of a goofball, but she said he's dead on this. Some of the cousins and friends that went with them, they even all have different stories because no one really knows, because there's a moment that he's in the store by himself.
By himself with her, yes.
Right. And so some of them said he didn't do that at all. Some of them said he just put the money in their things. Some of them said he whistled in the store. Some of them said he whistled at her outside. I mean, so there's really no sure thing of what happened. But according to Carolyn, that's the story they're going to go with.
Mm-hmm.
So after he put his hand around her waist, she goes to the car to get her gun for him, and he whistles at her. And this prompts all the boys, the cousins who did hear the whistle. They heard him whistle. They thought he was whistling at her. Well, Emmett's mom said that he had a stuttering problem because he had caught polio when he was 8 or anywhere between 10 and 12. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. He caught polio and got a really bad stuttering problem. So sometimes when he couldn't pronounce his B's or D's, she had taught him to whistle to help him remind him how to release that B or D. And he's really whistling at her, but he's trying to talk and needs to whistle to speak. So they're all in shock and they're like, "Oh my God, we gotta go. We gotta go. They're gonna get you. It's gonna be a problem. You need to go." So they all leave. According to this documentary on YouTube,
mm-hmm.
It's about an hour long. According to the documentary, one of the fellows that kind of like a family friend took the boy. They went to another store, got candy, along to 2:30. Meanwhile, Carolyn's telling her husband Roy, and Roy is telling his half brother, brother-in-law. I'm sorry. He is telling his brother-in-law, the half brother, Joy Milan, mm-hmm. about what. So now they are determined to go find Emmett Till. So at 2:30 in the morning, they get word from another African American person that this is where he's at. This is the boy that did it, because they saw her. They already know he's from Chicago. He talked different. He looked different. That's a small town. They know he's not from there. So he's already going to stand out. They tell him where to go. They're like, "Okay, he's over here. This is Moose family. You can go over there to Moose." He tried to keep it on the low. Didn't want to be told. But later on in life, people figured out who told it. Mm-hmm. Because, and it outraged the whole community. But anyways, that's for here and there. So Roy and
I think they call him JW. The brother.
Yeah, JW, to Moose's cabin. Yeah, bust up in there, and take him out of bed. They're like, "Are you the one that did it?" They asked all some of the other boys that were there, some of the cousins that were there, and they found out it's him, and they took him. Now they said they told the family. Now keep in mind, his aunt. Sorry about that, I forgot that. His aunt offered money. She's like, "Look, I'll give you money. Just don't take him. He doesn't know any better. Can you please just," they're not trying to hear that. because the half brother, he already had in his mind what he was going to do.
Yeah.
They said Roy was a little hesitant.
He said that later in years, JW said that basically, to kind of like paraphrase, basically, what else was he supposed to do? Like, Emmett basically stepped out of line like this. So he never thought that he did anything wrong, or out of, he just basically thought that this what needed to be done. You have this black kid who disrespects a white woman. Well, of course we have to do this. So there was no hesitation from JW at all.
And it was supposed to be intended to protect Black people. The rules were there to protect Black people as well. That's why it had to be done that way. Anyway, so they take this baby with the help of 2 other Black men, and take him to Miriam's barn, and they pistol whip him all the way there. First of all, he was dragged in a truck, a green truck. They dragged him, tied him up and dragged him. They pistol whipped him. The Black men that they took with them. Now they're saying that those Black men were bullied into doing that. No one really knows for sure. They were bullied into doing that. They pistol whipped him, took him in there, like literally beat the mess out of this poor baby, shot him, and then they took I forgot what kind of fan. Brandon, do you remember what kind of fan it was they tied to?
It was from a cotton gin or something like that.
Yeah, a cotton gin fan.
Something that had to do with the cotton industry. They tied it to him, and they threw him in the Tallahatchie River.
70-pound fan. 70 pounds, and threw him right on in there.
So they didn't find Emmett for 3 days. So through the combination of the beating, the mutilation, and the time of water, and probably wildlife, getting to him, they could barely identify his body. They could barely identify who he was. So if you've seen, and I don't know if I should post the picture of Emmett in his casket. Maybe I should, because his mother published that picture. She took a picture of him in his casket, and she wanted that picture to be public. So even though Mamie is with the ancestors, I think I will post that picture so you can see the evidence of what Jim Crow and a long-lasting legacy of slavery and white supremacy does to Black American citizens. So I think
you should too. She really wanted that picture posted so people can know what happened to her baby, like how bad it was.
One of the things she said, she said, there was just no way I could describe what was in that box. This was, she said, what was in the box. No way. And I just wanted the world to see what they did to my baby. So she couldn't even recognize her only child. And I think that we can describe all day long brutality and everything. And it's not just with African people of African descent. It's, people of color worldwide. We can describe the brutality. We can describe all of these things, but until they see it, you can always desensitize yourself to it. You can always say, oh, it really didn't happen like that. So to see in 1955, when you have Lucy and Desi Arnaz still sleeping in separate beds in a sitcom, and people not actually kissing in a sitcom, to see a grotesque picture like that published was very shocking, pretty much to everybody, even white citizens in the South and in Mississippi. People were outraged by this. So.
Yes, even some of the white community in their own city, because the trial held there. So even some of them were kind of like, just hurt. He was so handsome.
He was a beautiful
So
boy.
he was such a handsome, beautiful boy. Those gorgeous colored eyes and beautiful features. And when I saw that picture, I'm like, that can't be him. There's no way. And the only way she could recognize him was his father's ring. The JW ring is his father's ring.
Mm.
And that's how they were able to recognize him, was from a ring on his finger. That's the only way. And I felt, like as a mother to make that kind of decision, which thousands of people came to see him,
Mhm.
because she wanted everyone to see him. She wanted reporters there. She wanted the news there. She wanted everyone there to be aware of what had happened to her child. So I have to commend you as a mother for even doing that. That's got to
Yeah,
be pretty hard.
yeah,
Um, like the smell was horrible. Like the corner. Oh, I'm sorry. He got transported back to Chicago.
yeah. She had to fight for that though because they were going to. He didn't do an autopsy, and they put him in a pine box, and they were going to bury him in Mississippi. So she had to
Yeah.
really petition the people down there to ship him back to Chicago, where they
Mm-hmm.
did do an autopsy. They found metal fragments in his head, apparently from what was it, a 44 or 45 caliber
45.
weapon. And so they were, so they were basically able to determine what his manner of death was, what the cause of
Mm-hmm.
death was. But yeah, she had to fight for that. And like you said, the stench, they said when they opened that box was like 2 blocks, like you could smell him
Yeah.
2 blocks, but people still lined up. I don't, to pay their respects or maybe just to see uh, what was there. So Jet Magazine and the Chicago
Mm-hmm.
Defender published the story
Yeah.
and the photos. So that was actually her photo, Mamie's photo, that she took um,
Wow.
and sent because
That's
she wanted people to know.
right. And Cliff Note, if you watch Lovecraft Country, they referenced this past Sunday.
So,
That's where I got the idea from, because that
okay, so
reference.
yes, I have not seen Lovecraft Country, and that's why I know that's why you give me side eye. But I do kind of like follow like what's going on in each episode, even though I'm not watching it because I'm just nosy like that. But yeah, when I was doing some reading this week, they said that they recreated the the killing.
Mm.
And one thing I can commend about shows
Oh,
like Lovecraft Country and The Watchmen is that they are tackling these subjects that mainstream America, let's phrase it like that, mainstream America wants
mm-hmm.
us to not talk about because it's like, don't talk about Greenville, Oklahoma. Don't talk, or is it Arkansas? Don't talk about Black Wall Street. Don't talk about Emmett Till.
Right.
Don't talk about the 16th Street Baptist Church because it happened. It's over, but it's not because if I mean if you would be ridiculous in your head to not see the parallel between our current climate and what went on in Money, Mississippi in
Yes.
1955. So you have this white woman, Carolyn Bryant. I think she was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And they paint her as this beautiful woman, very attractive. Roy was 24. They said that he was abusive, physically and verbally abusive to her. And that he whistled at her. And like you said, there's many conflicting stories about what happened with that. So she didn't tell her husband right away because he wasn't home.
Right.
He was upset that she didn't say anything, and then they, took their own brand of justice. But think about the lady in the park in Central Park with the guy bird watching. She blatantly tells him, "I'm gonna call the police on you, and they're gonna do something to you." Um, Ahmaud Aubrey
Yeah.
jogging, and these guys get in their truck and chase him down and kill him in the middle of the street,
Running in his neighborhood.
in his own neighborhood. Let's go back further to the 90s. James Byrd in Jasper, Texas.
Ooh, good one.
He was lynched and dragged by 3 white men. Thank God that they've all met their end by the lethal injection or electric chair down there in Huntsville. Uh, but this keeps going on. This current culture of Karens calling the police. I saw the other day. I was watching this video, and I try not to watch these videos because
them damn Karens.
right, I am developing PTSD behind these videos. Um, at the grocery store, a man, a black guy, was putting his groceries in, and she said that the way he was putting his stuff in the cart was suspicious. So obviously that wasn't his car. So she calls the police, and he's like, all right, like, call him. I'm putting my groceries in suspiciously, so it can't be my car. So the police come, and they tell the man, your new registration sticker should be displayed more prominently. So she wouldn't have
What?
She wouldn't have had to call or had the thought that it was suspicious if his registration sticker had been displayed. You know, you can get dealer tags, a little bit more prominently, so she would have been able to see that. So basically, Jim Crow, slavery, all of that has given carte blanche to, and I'm just going to say it because this is what we're talking about, has given carte blanche to white people to question everything that a black person does. If I go into my house suspiciously, you must not own the house. Now I have to prove that I own the house.
What's suspiciously?
Car. How do I put my groceries in suspiciously?
What's suspiciously? I was watching one where the girl, the lady was following her around the store. And she told her, why are you following me around? She said, because it looks like you finna steal something. She said, and put it where? She said, in your purse. Her purse was half of this. She said, man, what am I gonna put in here? I'm in a shoe store. What can I put in here?
Did the lady work there?
No.
Oh,
she said,
I would have found me a boot and
I'm like, you know what? These situations have never happened to me because you know why? I think because God is I'm not kind of conflict. Because our people, we are really handling this extremely well. And I'm not ready for that kind of conflict. Mm-mm. I'm not good enough for that right now.
No.
Because I'm going to tell you, following me around the store, telling me I'm putting my groceries in suspiciously? Are you crazy?
Because I'm quick to be like, can I help you find something? I act like the people at Target. Can I help you find something? Like, why are you bothering me? What do you want? You don't even work here. So, ma'am, you look suspicious.
I don't care. Brittany, what's the artist? The one that the Try Jesus. That's why I love that song because
Try Jesus, not me.
Because I fight.
Try Jesus, not me. Cause I fight. I'm gonna need a t-shirt with that on there. And this is a good segue. So listen. So last week we talked about an interview that was going to feature Black Coffee and Crime. That interview airs tonight at 7 p.m. Central. So in like 2 minutes at eVision Radio. So it's envision-radio.com. So envision-radio.com. One of the other person that was being interviewed, she owns a t-shirt company, and it's called Mirth and Circumstance. So MIRTH and Circumstance. You have to spell circumstance yourself, but Mirth and Circumstance. And she sells t-shirts, and I bought one, and I can't wait till it comes. It says kinks, coils, curls, and curves.
Oh, cute.
So this is not a paid advertisement because I bought the shirt. So yes. So I will put a link to Mirth and Circumstance in the description of this video. But again, Envision Radio, and you can go there and listen to the the broadcast at any time. That's envision-radio.com. The host of that radio show is Brian J.T. Watts, and it is called Knowledge is the Key. So, yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, so that's there. So, Mirth and Circumstance, you definitely want to go there. Pick up some shirts. I'm going to see if we can put Try Jesus.
I was just saying, we need to reach out to her.
I throw hands.
Some shirts.
Yes, I throw hands. Try Jesus. Not me.
Because I scrap.
I fight.
Because I scrap. I can't. I told it just doesn't happen for me.
It never happens to me. I think it's my face because I think I go into places and I just kind of.
Yeah, I'm saying, you got that RBF for sure.
You remember me sitting in meetings and
I can't even do it. The whole time they be like, "She all right? She's straight."
I'm just waiting for you to say something.
She's just not with it.
I'm waiting for you to say something. Like I think I have that. Like they have the resting bitch face. I have the waiting to fuck you up face. Like
that is the look right there.
So it hasn't happened, and I'm like, some of the situations, I'm like, why didn't they swing on her? But I realize we also live in a gun culture, and people, that's all it takes. And then the police are always not on our side. They are not always on our side. It's very rare that someone calls the police on a person of African descent or person of color, and it turns out well for us. So we do have to navigate in a certain way so that we can just live through the moment. And that's crazy and a shame. I posted, now of course we're still talking about Emmett Till, but we always kind of throw things in there. I posted on Instagram, or was it Facebook, about my incident at the airport. Like they searched my ankles.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving California where marijuana is legal. Now didn't have any, hadn't smoked it, hadn't touched it. I get flagged every time I go to the airport. They search me every single time, no matter what airport, except LAX. LAX don't care. You could take anything with the LAX. They just like keep going. So I'm at Ontario Airport, and I walk through. I take all my stuff out. I got my shoes out. No questions. The lady's like, we're gonna have to search you. And I said, okay. So I'm thinking they're gonna do the little pat down. She says, did you want to step behind the wall so you can be more comfortable? And so I'm like, what y'all want to do? Like, listen, I have leggings on. I ain't got no shoes on. I ain't got no socks on. So I'm like, all right. So she does the pat. She's like, we're going to touch your buttocks. And I'm like, all right, give me a thrill. That's fine. It's a business. So doing all this stuff, I got my arms out, and then she's like, have a seat. Okay. So she starts like rubbing my calves and my ankles. I'm like, I just got a pedicure, but okay. Ma'am, I have leggings on with no socks. What are y'all looking for?
What you gonna put that in?
And then she's like, I have to rub your hands. So she rubbed my hands with this thing, but I'm like, what are you doing? But I didn't question it. In my head, I'm like, what are you doing? But I didn't question, one, because I need to get on the plane, and two, you're automatically going to take my questions with anger and aggression. Not that I'm uncomfortable, not that I'm curious or worried about what you're doing. Why are you searching me like this? You didn't see me in contact with any other member, anyone else. I was dropped off outside of the airport, and I walked in by myself, self-checked my bag. So I did things normally. But I didn't question it because, one, I'm always searched at the airport. Now, I have one bracelet that I wear continuously and never take it off. I never wear belts. Never. I don't have any sort of foreign objects in my body whatsoever. Everything that is pierced on me is from the neck up. But I'm always searched. So that was one thing. Like, this is normal for me. But when she told me, "Did you want to go behind the partition?" I was like, and then you search my ankles. So that's the thing. Like, we have to handle ourselves in such a way that we don't cause harm to ourselves. And it's kind of like we have to swallow our pride and our anger because we're
And
like in frustration. But in some situations, listen, Karen, Chloe, Charlotte, um, Caroline, I don't care who you are. Mind your business.
That's it.
Mind your business.
A business that pays you. That's
Yeah.
all you have to do.
Yeah.
Like
And so, go ahead.
I said, all they have to do is just mind the business that pays you. Can you do that? Because the only reason you're doing it now is because you're comfortable, because society has made it a comfort for you.
Yes.
Because 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, you were not doing that. You were
this,
now.
This current administration has allowed this sort of behavior to flourish and to really come out, and no one is respectful and polite enough not to do it. Now, in the case of Emmett Till, now Caroline Bryant testified in court that yes, Emmett grabbed her. He said some things to her that they did not print on, in the court record and all this stuff. Later on, supposedly in 2008,
yes,
no, 2000 was it 2012? There was an interview with
Tim, his name.
2008 with Timothy Tyson. She supposedly admitted that Emmett had not grabbed or touched her, but she did testify to that in court. Her husband and her brother-in-law were acquitted.
Yes, they were.
Now, in 1956, so their trial was in September of 1955. A mere month after Emmett died, they went to trial. Of course, there was some crowdfunding for the defense. So in 1956, both Roy Bryant and J.W. Milan admitted
to killing
that they kidnapped and killed Emmett Till. But because of double jeopardy, couldn't do a damn thing about it. So they actually admitted that they killed him. But the universe has a way of paying for things. So both after the trial and after all these things came out, even the people who had donated for their defense and they've been behind them before, they were horrified and they shunned them. So the Bryants had to close their store down because they catered to sharecroppers. So Black people wouldn't go to their store.
Right.
So this was right after the Montgomery bus boycott started. They did not frequent their stores, so they went bankrupt. They had to move, but everywhere they tried to move to, people knew who they were. Caroline and Roy ended up getting a divorce. He tried to move to Texas. That didn't work out.
Follow them.
Still followed that reputation followed him. People didn't want anything to do with him. So he remarried later on. He died, I think, of cancer, like 1984, something like that. J.W. Tried to move around. He ended up moving. Yeah, he tried to move around in the same way. But basically, their reputations, no one wanted to deal with it. But it was too late by that time because you had supported this.
Yeah.
And you supported this machine, this racial machine that allowed people to kill you for a perceived offense. Like people were not familiar. I'm just gonna say familiar with the way things did work. You could not walk on the same sidewalk as a white person, especially a white woman.
Right.
You couldn't look a white person in the face. Like they could take that offense to that and kill you or lynch you or burn crosses, just any sort of offense. So it was really a lose-lose situation. And Mississippi was the worst, which is why anybody listening to Mississippi, I'm sorry, which was why I cannot stand to go to Mississippi. To this day, the thought of being in Mississippi makes me sick to my stomach. I don't even know how I watch P-Valley. Just in Mississippi. But yeah, so you know, that type of attitude towards Black people allowed this to happen and allowed them to be acquitted the same way that um, allowed Brian De La Beckwith, who shot Medgar Evers, to be acquitted for what,
Mm-hmm.
walk free for what, another 40 years before he was convicted.
Yeah.
It allowed, I think his name was Chambliss, who planted the bomb in the 16th Baptist Church,
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
to do
Same.
that because crimes against Black people will always be justified. Crimes against Black, well, yeah, we'll be indicted, we'll go to court, but it's gonna be an all-white jury. No jury is gonna convict. You know, this is the same reason why George Zimmerman walked. Same thing.
You know, it's a lot of
See
it's
something later. George Zimmerman walks.
he considers himself a celebrity.
They all
There's
they all
I
love
don't
that part of it.
hate many people. I have a very, very small list of people that I legit hate. He
Is
is one of them.
talent
I he does
because he makes a
something
living
to me.
off.
When he taught him, it does something to me.
Yeah, he profits
Yes.
off of the celebrity that he created and behind Trayvon. And we, and I'm saying we, even though we don't live in Florida, we let him down. Society let Trayvon down because he made uh, now Trayvon is the suspect. He's no longer the victim. So because he said whatever he said to George Zimmerman, then that just threw everything out the window. That this young boy was shot. Now, so we oh, and I just lost what I was going to say. But so things like George Zimmerman, they walk. We create this celebrity behind it, and we it's not okay, but it's so accepted.
Yeah, it's accepted. That's what it is.
It's so
It's accepted.
it's accepted, and it's like people want to say, well, just let it go. It happened so long ago, but it's still here though. We can't let it go because the same thing that allowed Bryant and Milan to walk is the same thing that allowed George Zimmerman to walk.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've created this thing where the not even the suspect, the victim becomes a suspect. They're on trial. George Floyd, they want to talk about what he did before. It doesn't matter. That's not what he was doing at the time. You want to talk about
why do we
Martin and what he said at the time. And in this case,
why do we
go ahead?
Oh no, while you were saying that, I was like, what so what, who cares? Like
Right.
That's who cares?
In this case, they did one hell of a smear campaign.
Ooh, didn't they?
So during the trial, they start talking about before the trial, the defense created this media shitstorm talking about how there were riots and stuff in Chicago. Basically a myth of violence behind this in Chicago and how they twisted Mamie Till's words on her. But the worst thing that they did was they brought up Emmett Till's father. Emmett Till's father, Lewis, was in the U.S. Army stationed in Italy. He was court-martialed for 2 rapes and a murder. And he was executed in Italy for it in 1945. Okay? Now, when this happened, he and Mamie were married. The family wasn't told what he was executed for. They were just told that it was basically conduct unbecoming of a soldier.
Right.
So the Army didn't tell them what happened. So they didn't know that he had been convicted of rape and murder until Emmett Till had died. So the defense used that to deflect off of the actual perpetrators of this crime. And they brought that out. And then, so they created this whole defamation suit against his father, who was long dead. Emmett was born in 1941. His father was he was only 4 when his father was killed, was executed in Italy. So they brought this around, and that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's what they do. They could bring out, he had detention. He served detention 7 times when he was in high school, but he's a victim today.
That's all that matters
today. So they did one hell of a smear campaign. Now, in 1992, Roy Bryant was giving a live interview, and Mamie Till Mobley was in the audience, and he didn't know. And he said,
"That's the interview
in 1992."
Well, I didn't see. I'm going to look for that interview.
Yeah, in 1992, he said. Now Emmett Till's mother is in the audience. He says, "Emmett Till is dead, and I don't know why he can't stay dead. Because he had the feeling that Emmett Till had ruined his life." How did this 14-year-old ruin your life? So it was like you killed him in a very brutal manner, but he inconvenienced you because you lost everything. And we see that a lot when people start losing their jobs. When these Karens lose their jobs, they're like, well, this ruined my life. No one did that but you. You did that to yourself. You did that to yourself. So,
I'm trying to blame
the victim. Blame the victim. And we still do that. Brown and Taylor. How are you going to blame this young woman in her house? Her death on her.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have had those friends. She shouldn't have been associated with those people. Well, she really wasn't associated with those people because you guys are at the wrong damn house.
Okay. Like, she ain't associated with them no way. That was the wrong house.
She shouldn't have done this. Yeah. I'm asleep. Regardless of who I talk to at the post office, I'm asleep now. So, I mean, I think one of the biggest parts of what you can take away from Emmett Till is that it's not over. This is not an isolated incident. This is not something that's foreign to us in our communities because it happened 3-4 times this year.
I was going to say it's happening all the time.
It's happening all the time.
All the time.
There are still people who are just trying to destroy monuments for Emmett Till. I mean, they are really active in the hate 65 years later, actively hating this young man for dying. Mm-hmm. For dying. They have to, I think at the site on the Tallahatchie River, there is a memorial thing there. And about a year ago, people were trying to destroy it. They would shoot at it. And so they've had to put cameras there. Cameras to protect a memorial site. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's beyond ridiculous.
So Caroline, I know you have some hate for Caroline. She's still alive. I have this question.
Is she still alive?
Yeah. She had older.
Oh, okay.
I believe she's still alive. Let me say that.
Okay.
She remarried, had children.
Uh-huh.
My question is, when your parent, grandparent, or something like that is infamous in a case like this, as a child or grandchild of that person, how do you? I would be interested to know what they think.
Well,
her mom accuses 14-year-old boy of heckling her. He dies. Then she says it didn't happen. Allegedly says it didn't happen. What do you do with that? Because, like, Granny,
this is you. This whole case, all this is you. This is your fault.
Well, they're sticking. I think because they're already grew up in that kind of culture, you can't change people's stripes. That's who she was. She's still gonna be a racist just because she married somebody else. And her daughters are like she never said that. That's not true. Yeah, your mama said it. So they're kind of like think it's that big of a deal because she probably told them a whole nother story growing up, and they are used to that story of what their mother told them because you're going to trust your mom. And if she tells you, they made it a bigger deal than what I tried to do, because I think she even said, well, I didn't tell Roy because I didn't want him to hurt the poor boy. Girl, bye. You had no problem sitting there telling a lie in court.
You knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew what was going to happen.
You knew
what was going to happen.
So I think they're probably like, well, my mom is innocent. Girl, bye.
Oh.
Bye.
Well,
your mama lied.
Yeah. Your mammy is the bitch. Did I say
that? It's already saying now, so boop, boop.
I saw me. Kind of. Yeah. So there's of course there's a lot more going on with the story of Emmett Till. One of the takeaways from it is that his mother became a crusader for civil rights after this. She was an educator already. She's a very educated woman, very many times degreed woman. And so until her death, I believe it was in 2003, she, was a staunch civil rights activist, and she really wanted people to know what had happened to Emmett and why it was wrong, why all of it was wrong. Like, it doesn't matter if he whistled at her or not. He's 14. She was a pretty woman.
Right.
So it's this should not equal death in any case. But it goes to show you that even at a young age, even at early ages, our children aren't worthy of compassion. Our children aren't seen as human. And people treat their dogs better than they would treat a Black child, still right now.
I would say that's still now.
Yeah. Because it's always, he shouldn't have done this. But this is normal ass behavior.
Yeah.
So whether or not he actually whistled at her, the stories are conflicting. If he was whistling, because they said there was a dice game going on and, stuttering. So there was a bunch of different stories, but she took that as he was whistling at her, and that's all it took was for Karen, Caroline, Charlotte, Carol to say that he whistled at me, and that was enough to get him killed in a very bad. So
yeah, sad.
that is our take on Emmett Till. If you have some more information or information you would like us to look at, information you would like us to post, we'll definitely do that. Look in the comments. I'll put Envision Radio in there so you can listen to the interview where I plug the hell out of Black Coffee and Crime. Also, I'll put a link for Mirth and Circumstance so you guys can go over there and get some great shirts. And so I can't wait till I get mine so I can wear it. Now, next week, I already know what I'm going to talk about.
What are we talking about?
We are going to talk about Clementine Barnabet. Clementine was a whole serial killer in the early 1900s in Louisiana and lived until 1985.
Ooh, good one.
So tell me about the possibilities of a Black woman in Louisiana who's a voodoo priestess who kills about 35 people and lives to tell about it. So Clementine Barnabet, that's our story. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the impossibility behind that. So you're gonna be dealing with paranormal. So any super Christians, sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna have my eggs and crystals and all the stuff out on the table. So if you easily offended by that. So again, thank you for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. We will see you all next week. Same time, same YouTube channel at Black Coffee and Crime. Instagram, you can always see what we're doing, what we're talking about. Follow us on Instagram at Black Coffee and Crime and on Facebook. So this episode will air on YouTube and our Facebook channel as well, so you can join us there. So any comments, let us know. In the meantime, be safe, be blessed, and always enjoy that second cup. So good night.
Bye.